In a world filled with constant noise, endless comparisons and unrealistic expectations, it's easy to feel like you're falling short. That voice in your head, the one that whispers you're not good enough, you'll never succeed, or why even try, can feel overwhelming, holding you back from becoming the person you're meant to be. But here's the truth. That voice isn't reality. It's just a story you have the power to rewrite. Imagine replacing that inner critic with a voice of confidence and compassion, one that guides you toward your goals instead of keeping you stuck. Today, we're diving into 7 powerful Buddhist-inspired lessons designed to help you destroy self-doubt, reframe your perspective, and reclaim control of your life. These are more than just ideas. They're tools you can use to transform fear into action, criticism into growth, and self-doubt into unstoppable confidence. If you're ready to silence that inner voice holding you back and step into the life you deserve, let's get started. 1. Reframe your inner critic. In Buddhism, thoughts are viewed as temporary and not a true reflection of who we are. They come and go, like clouds passing through the sky, and they don't define our worth or capabilities. Your inner critic, those negative voices in your head, is simply a collection of learned beliefs and conditioned thoughts. These may come from past experiences, societal expectations, or fears. The key is to understand that these thoughts are not permanent, nor are they an absolute truth about you. Instead of fighting against your inner critic or letting it control you, approach it with compassion and curiosity. Treat it like a worried friend who needs reassurance. For example, when you hear the thought, "I can't do this," pause and ask yourself, "Is that really true?" Then reframe it with a more empowering question like, "What if I try and see what happens?" Or, "What if this is an opportunity to grow and learn?" By shifting from self-criticism to self-inquiry, you open the door to new possibilities. This approach helps you to see challenges as opportunities rather than obstacles, transforming self-doubt into curiosity and courage. Remember, you don't have to silence your inner critic completely. You just need to change how you respond to it. 2. Take small, consistent actions. Self-doubt often thrives in the space between where we are and where we want to be. It can feel overwhelming to think about achieving a big goal or overcoming a significant challenge all at once. Buddhism teaches the value of right effort, which emphasizes steady and intentional progress rather than perfection. The key is to take small, consistent actions that move you forward, even if they seem insignificant in the moment. When you're feeling stuck or unsure of yourself, break your goals into tiny, manageable steps. For example, instead of thinking, "I have to finish this huge project," focus on one specific action. "I'll spend 10 minutes organizing my ideas." By doing this, you're not only making the task feel less daunting, but also building momentum. Consistency is what builds confidence over time. Each small action becomes a brick in the foundation of your self-belief. The more you act, the more evidence you gather that you are capable. Even small wins, like completing a single step, can create a ripple effect that helps silence self-doubt. Remember, it's not about how fast you move. It's about staying consistent. Small actions compound over time, and they show you that progress is always possible, even in the face of uncertainty. Every step forward, no matter how small, is proof that you're capable of overcoming self-doubt and taking control of your life. 3. Stop comparing yourself to others. One of the quickest ways to fuel self-doubt is by comparing yourself to others. In Buddhism, it's emphasized that each person's journey, or dharma, is unique. Everyone has their own path shaped by their experiences, choices, and challenges. When you compare yourself to others, you lose sight of your individuality and the progress you've made in your own life. Think of it this way. Comparing yourself to someone else is like comparing a seed to a fully grown tree. You may be at a different stage of growth, but that doesn't mean you're any less valuable or capable. Your journey is unfolding at its own pace. When you notice yourself comparing, pause and shift your focus. Ask yourself, what is one thing I'm proud of about myself? Or, what progress have I made that aligns with my goals? This practice helps you celebrate your own path instead of fixating on someone else's. It's also helpful to remind yourself that what you see in others is often just the surface. People tend to share their successes, not their struggles, so you may not be seeing the full picture. Let go of the need to measure up and focus on your unique strengths, growth, and potential. When you stop comparing, you free yourself to appreciate your own journey and build confidence in your abilities. 4. Embrace your imperfections. In a world that often pressures us to appear flawless, self-doubt can easily creep in when we notice our imperfections. However, Buddhism teaches us to embrace imperfection as an inherent and beautiful part of life. This idea is similar to the philosophy of wabi-sabi, which finds beauty in the incomplete, the imperfect, and the impermanent. Rather than viewing flaws as weaknesses, they can be seen as markers of growth and humanity. Imperfections make us relatable and unique. Consider this. Every crack, scar, or mistake in your life tells a story about your journey. It shows that you've tried, failed, learned, and grown. Instead of hiding or resenting your imperfections, embrace them as valuable parts of who you are. They are not obstacles to your worth. They are evidence of your resilience and courage. The path to embracing imperfections begins with letting go of the unrealistic idea of perfection. Perfection is an illusion. No one truly achieves it, no matter how polished their life might appear on the outside. Clinging to perfection only fuels self-doubt, as it sets a standard that no one can realistically meet. Instead, shift your focus from being perfect to being authentic. Ask yourself, what can I learn from my imperfections? How do they make me stronger? Self-acceptance is key. Start by noticing the language you use when you talk to yourself. Do you criticize yourself for your mistakes or shortcomings? If so, replace that criticism with compassion. For example, if you make an error, instead of thinking, "I always mess up," try saying, "This is an opportunity to learn and grow. Everyone makes mistakes, and this doesn't define me." Another way to embrace imperfection is to celebrate progress over perfection. Set realistic goals and acknowledge even small steps toward them. Celebrate the effort you put in rather than focusing solely on the outcome. This approach helps you appreciate the journey and reduces the pressure to be flawless. Remember that imperfection is what connects us to others. When you embrace your flaws, you give others permission to embrace theirs as well. You create space for authentic relationships, where vulnerability is met with understanding rather than judgment. This deep sense of connection can help dissolve self-doubt and remind you that you are enough just as you are. By embracing your imperfections, you free yourself from the constant pressure to measure up to impossible standards. You learn to see yourself with kindness, compassion, and appreciation for the beautifully imperfect being you are. This shift in perspective not only quiets self-doubt, but also allows you to live a more fulfilling and authentic life. Fear is one of the biggest contributors to self-doubt. It tells us we're not ready, not good enough, or destined to fail. But here's a truth grounded in Buddhist teachings. Fear is a natural part of life, and courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to move forward despite it. Taking action even when you're scared is one of the most powerful ways to break free from self-doubt. In Buddhism, fear is viewed as a mental formation, an emotion that arises but does not define you. When fear shows up, it's not a signal to stop. It's an opportunity to grow. Instead of seeing fear as a barrier, view it as a guide pointing toward areas where you can expand your comfort zone and discover your true potential. The first step in taking action despite fear is acknowledging it without judgment. Say to yourself, "I feel scared," and that's okay. By naming your fear, you reduce its power over you. It's like shining a light into a dark corner. What seemed overwhelming starts to feel manageable. Next, focus on taking small, intentional steps rather than leaping into the unknown all at once. For example, if you're afraid of speaking in public, start by sharing your thoughts in a small group or practicing in front of a mirror. Each small step you take builds momentum, gradually quieting self-doubt and boosting your confidence. Another Buddhist principle that can help is mindfulness. When fear arises, take a moment to center yourself through your breath. Breathe in deeply, acknowledging your fear, and breathe out, releasing the tension it brings. This practice helps ground you in the present moment, where action is possible, rather than being overwhelmed by imagined outcomes. It's also important to reframe how you view mistakes or failures. Instead of seeing them as proof of inadequacy, embrace them as valuable lessons. Every action you take, successful or not, provides you with experience and insight. As the Buddha said, no effort is ever wasted. Taking action when you're scared also shifts your focus from self-doubt to self-discovery. You learn more about your capabilities and strengths by doing, not just thinking. Each step forward reveals new possibilities, and you realize that fear doesn't have to control you. Remind yourself of your deeper why. Why is this action important to you? What do you stand to gain or learn by moving forward? Keeping your purpose in mind can motivate you to take action even when fear tries to hold you back. When you act in the face of fear, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your doubts. Each step builds courage, confidence, and resilience. Over time, fear becomes less of an obstacle and more of a companion on your journey of growth and self-discovery. By taking action, even when you're scared, you reclaim your power and take control of your life. Step 4. Develop self-compassion. Self-compassion is one of the most transformative tools for overcoming self-doubt. Many of us are harder on ourselves than we would ever be on someone else. We criticize our mistakes, dwell on our perceived flaws, and question our worth. This harsh inner dialogue can paralyze us with doubt, but Buddhism teaches us the importance of metta, or loving kindness, starting with ourselves. Developing self-compassion begins with understanding that, as humans, we are inherently imperfect. The Buddha acknowledged that suffering, mistakes, and challenges are a natural part of life. Self-compassion invites us to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding we would offer to a dear friend in their time of need. Recognize your inner critic. The first step in developing self-compassion is recognizing your inner critic, the voice that magnifies your mistakes and doubts your abilities. Often this voice stems from fear, past experiences, or societal expectations. Instead of fighting this voice, acknowledge its presence and respond with kindness. For example, if your inner critic says you're not good enough, respond with, "It's okay to feel uncertain, but I'm doing my best, and that's enough." Practice mindful awareness. Buddhism emphasizes mindfulness, which helps us observe our thoughts and emotions without judgment. When self-doubt or self-criticism arises, take a moment to notice it without attaching to it. Acknowledge the feeling, but remind yourself that it's just a thought, not a reflection of your true worth. Practicing mindfulness creates space to respond with compassion, rather than falling into a spiral of negativity. Speak to yourself with kindness. One powerful way to cultivate self-compassion is by changing the way you speak to yourself. Imagine you're talking to a close friend who's struggling. You wouldn't say, "You're such a failure," or "You'll never get it right." Instead, you'd say something encouraging like, "It's okay to make mistakes. You're learning and growing." Apply the same kindness to yourself. Replace self-criticism with supportive and nurturing words. For example, instead of, "I can't believe I failed at this again," try, "It's okay to fail. Every attempt is a step toward growth." Acknowledge shared humanity. Another core aspect of self-compassion is recognizing that you're not alone in your struggles. Buddhism teaches the concept of interconnectedness, the idea that we are all part of the same human experience. Everyone faces challenges, makes mistakes, and feels self-doubt at times. When you remember that your difficulties are part of being human, it becomes easier to let go of self-judgment and treat yourself with compassion. Embrace imperfections with compassion. Buddhism reminds us that life is inherently imperfect, and so are we. Instead of striving for perfection, embrace your flaws and mistakes as opportunities to grow. When you falter, remind yourself that imperfection is not a failure, it's part of the journey. Treat every stumble as a chance to learn and evolve, and approach yourself with patience and understanding. Cultivate loving kindness, metta, meditation. A practical way to deepen self-compassion is through metta meditation, which focuses on sending loving kindness to yourself and others. To begin, sit quietly and repeat affirmations like, "May I be happy," "May I be healthy," "May I be free from suffering." As you practice, you'll notice a growing sense of warmth and kindness toward yourself. This practice can help quiet self-doubt and replace it with a deep sense of inner peace. Forgive yourself. Self-doubt often stems from dwelling on past mistakes. Forgiveness is a powerful act of self-compassion. Remind yourself that mistakes are part of being human and don't define your worth. Forgive yourself for not knowing what you didn't know before, and focus on what you've learned and how you've grown. Let go of the weight of regret and give yourself permission to move forward. Benefits of self-compassion. When you practice self-compassion, you free yourself from the cycle of self-judgment and criticism. It creates a foundation of inner strength and resilience, enabling you to face challenges with confidence. Self-compassion fosters a sense of inner peace and acceptance, making it easier to navigate life's ups and downs without being paralyzed by self-doubt. A lifelong practice. Developing self-compassion isn't something you achieve overnight. It's a lifelong practice. Start small, by noticing when you're being hard on yourself, and consciously choose to respond with kindness. With time, self-compassion becomes a natural habit, helping you build a deeper and more supportive connection with yourself. Take control of your story. The stories we tell ourselves about who we are shape how we view the world and what we believe we can achieve. These inner narratives often start in childhood, shaped by our experiences, relationships, and what society expects of us. Over the years, they can become deeply rooted, feeding self-doubt and holding us back. Buddhism teaches that we are not our thoughts. We are the awareness behind them, and with that awareness comes the power to change our story. Notice the stories you repeat. The first step in taking control is to spot the beliefs that are keeping you stuck. Listen to your inner voice, especially when you're facing struggles or setbacks. Are you telling yourself things like, "I'm not good enough," "I always mess up," or "I'll never make it"? These thoughts might feel real, but they're often based on fear, past mistakes, or assumptions, not facts. Once you spot these limiting beliefs, question them. Ask yourself, is this story really true, or is it just something I've believed for a long time? What proof do I have that goes against this thought? If a friend shared this story, would I think it was fair or accurate? This helps you step back and see your beliefs for what they are, just stories, and like any story, they can be changed. Start rewriting your story. Buddhism highlights the value of mindfulness, being present and watching your thoughts without getting caught up in them. When you notice a negative story, make a conscious choice to rewrite it in a way that strengthens you. For example, instead of saying, "I'm a failure," say, "I made a mistake, but I'm learning and growing." Instead of thinking, "I'm not talented enough," try, "I can build my skills with time and effort." Rewriting your story isn't about ignoring problems or pretending life is perfect. It's about focusing on your potential and remembering that you have the power to change and grow. Own your path. In Buddhism, the idea of karma reminds us that our actions shape our experience. You're not just a bystander in your life. You are the author of your story. By owning your choices and actions, you take back your power and begin to guide your life in the direction you want. Start with small, realistic steps that reflect the story you want to live. Every step you take helps build your new narrative and strengthens your belief in yourself. For example, if your new story is, "I'm capable of learning new things," support it with action. Try a new hobby, sign up for a class, or take on a challenge you've been avoiding. Let go of the past. Many of the stories we hold on to come from old experiences. Buddhism teaches us to release attachment to the past and understand that it doesn't have to shape your future. Holding on to regrets or past failures keeps you stuck in self-doubt. Letting go makes space for a new story to unfold. Instead, see those experiences as lessons that can guide your growth. Ask yourself, what can I learn from what I've been through? How can it help me become stronger? When you look at your past as a source of wisdom instead of a burden, you give yourself the freedom to create a brighter future. Practice gratitude and reflection. Taking control of your story also means recognizing and appreciating the good in your life. Build the habit of gratitude by thinking about what you've achieved, the hard times you've gotten through, and the strengths you've built along the way. Gratitude helps shift your focus from what's lacking to what's already working, reinforcing a more uplifting and empowering story. Regular self-reflection is also key. Set aside time to journal or sit in quiet thought with questions like, what kind of person do I want to be? What small step can I take today to move toward that vision? What old beliefs can I release to move forward? These simple practices help keep you aligned with the story you truly want to live. Own your role as the author. In the end, taking control of your story means realizing that you have the power to shape your life. You are not defined by your past, your mistakes, or what others think of you. You are defined by the choices you make and by the story you decide to believe. Buddhism teaches that change is always possible. Just as the Buddha transformed his life through insight and action, you too can reshape your story to reflect your true strength and purpose. Each day is a chance to start fresh, to release self-doubt and step into a new story filled with confidence, growth, and possibility. By taking control of your story, you let go of limiting beliefs and open the door to a life filled with purpose and empowerment. You become the author of a new story, one built on courage, resilience, and self-belief. A story where you're no longer held back by doubt, but guided by your inner strength and clear vision. Thank you for watching. These 7 lessons are practical tools to help you break free from self-doubt and take back your life. Which lessons spoke to you the most? Let me know in the comments below. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more uplifting content. Until next time, take care and keep moving forward with confidence.